Right. So hopefully this will make some sense. I gotta turn down background noise a little bit, but hopefully it works. Okay. So where are we at? Well, we have a relatively empty project application. We're going to work on some templates that work with C# and XAML. And we're going to set up some initial controls, because once we have those templates set up, then we can just copy templates for every table, every piece of content, every form page that we make. So what we'll do first is on the right hand side here we have our templates folder, and we're going to add a folder that's going to say our template views, because this is an MVVM format. We're then going to have view models, and then we're also going to have template models. Okay. Now some people do it plural, some people do it singular. Whichever way you name your stuff, just name it consistently. So in my case, I'm naming them plural because I love multiple models, multiple view models, and multiple views. And we're going to go ahead and create a page within the view, because that's exactly what that is. And we're going to say template detail view. Name it consistently that way. And then inside of our view models, we're going to go ahead and add a class of template detail view model. That way it's named consistently. Okay, now the view should be aware of the view model, right? So what we'll do here is we're going to create a new namespace shortcut called view model. We're going to name it dot view models, just like so. That way we can give this a data source and then reference that going forward. Okay, so now we have a design width. We're going to change it to 1,000, and a design height we're going to change to 600, not 6,600. Okay, then we have a title. Well, right away we have a title, so we can display it somewhere, but this title is just like the name of the page, which it's not in the physical name of the page is not necessarily the title of the page. So this can have spaces, this can have a bunch of things. It doesn't need to have suffixes or anything like that. But we also want to be able to set basically all the content of the page from the view model, which is this one. So from this view model, we are going to have this set up to do, and then to use the base classes, because we have a notification base class. But we're also going to add another base class. And what we'll do here is then we will call it a detail base class. Okay, and this one's then going to inherit the notification base class. Okay. Second, let me just double check how I did this before. Yep, that's what it is. That's what I thought. All right, so we can, we don't need to make it internal. We can make it a public class. And then we're probably going to need some sort of a constructor in here, is my guess. Why are we this class? Okay, it's less accessible. So because we're making them public, we have to make this one public. Okay, so we have that one. Okay, so now we have that. Now, because this is a base class and can't actually be created itself, it's going to be inherited. We don't need a constructor. we're just going to inherit it somewhere. So we have a detail page base class, and we're going to add properties and fields to this. That way the page can have it. So we're going to create a region called properties and fields. We'll do an end region, properties and fields. Okay, we'll do a nullable string for the page title. Okay. We're going to, you can do all this in one line. I've always found it easier to read when you give it multiple lines. That's my opinion. You can do it however you want, but I've found that setting it up this way works just fine. And then because we have the set, we're also going to do a notify property changed event, which is inherited from the notification base class. So that's where that is. So this is the title. Yep. And the other thing we can do we'll exchange the word title with content. Page content selection. Okay, and that's again a string, but we can set the title to be slightly different than the content. So now that we've saved that, we have a detail base class. Okay, we can go over to the view model where we can inherit the detail base class. And that allows us to get all the properties of the detail base class to be accessible for us. So let me go ahead and continue setting this up. Okay, so inside of our detail view, after header information, we're going to do a page.dataContext. Okay, we're going to do view model, detail view model, and that's going to be the view model for this page. It says it doesn't exist yet, but if we rebuild it, it should find it, and after compiling, it should find it if it can. So in this case, we need to do end region. So because we're performing actions, we do need, I always follow it up that way, so that was easier to work with. And then this one is going to be setting the variables. So again, same deal. This one's declaring the variables, same problem. Okay. And then we have region, and we have end region of those methods. So we will build once again. Okay. Now that we have that part, it's no longer hiding it. There's no errors because it did build correctly. So now that we have the page up here, we want to set up a general template. So a detail page is going to need some basics, really. So those basics are going to include like a header to understand what information we're looking at. We're going to need a main content section to understand like details about the records, and we want to keep it relatively clean. So as we do this, we're going to go ahead and set up the grid to have row definitions. Okay, so we'll have at least 2 row definitions, probably going with 3 at least. But the top one, we're going to say height is going to be automatic, right? And that's going to make it minimize. And so we'll actually set up a third one. Let that minimize as well. So I'm not sure that we'll set up columns, but we might. So, and then we're going to set up a border. And the first border is going to be the top border. So we would then say grid.row equals 0. You don't need to say row equals 0 because that's typically implied. But if we equals 0, so we can take that off. And then in this one, we can make it equal 1. Okay. I need to get some water. Okay, but these borders don't have much to them in reality. So what we can do is we can set it to have some height first, and we might say maybe the height is 50. And if we right click up here, we can then say to edit style, and we can create an empty style option. So this will be, you know, for the application. We're going to make this available, and this is going to be a border. We're going to call this a detail header. Okay. And so now we have this opened up, and this is inside of the applications like resources, if you will. And so we have a bunch of style tags. Now I like using regions to break these up and make them easier to find and to read and everything else. So that'll be fine. We're going to set up a couple of regions here real quick to allow them to be easier to navigate through, because we're going to end up with quite a few, I imagine. So we'll do, since this one is slightly different. There we go. Region. Then we can put a name in here. So we can say region styles. Okay, we have end region then, and that should allow the section to minimize fairly easily. So that makes it easier. And then of course inside of that region, then we can also make another one, and we can call it border styles. Okay, so now we have border styles inside of general styles, which makes it really easy to work with. What we will do is, since we have this style all set up, we're going to put some setters in here, I believe. So 1 second here. Yep, that's right. Okay, so it doesn't seem to like the style tags indented multiple times, which is fine, I guess. I more prefer them being indented like this, but they don't necessarily need to be. So we'll see if it holds. And then for this case, we're going to say the setter, the property, is going to say maybe the background. And the background is going to be light gray. Okay, since it seems to like resetting it. Go with that, it's fine. I don't want to be fighting for indent spacing. But if there's a way to fix that, maybe I'll have to find out later. Okay, in case you have a tough time reading that, so we have the background as a light gray. Okay, and then you can also do the border brush as, say, a gray. Right? then maybe we want to do border thickness. Make it 1 or 2 or whatever. And I like the look of corner radiuses. You know, it looks relatively modern, so we're going to say corner radius is 5. So we can take this style tag now, and we can go to our detail page, close out the view model, save that. And inside of our border here, inside of row 0, you'll notice it already has a style for border detail header. As we look at the page though, it doesn't really have much around it. So you can kind of see what's going on. But there's not a lot of padding, and we might want some outside padding or margin to make that work. So my guess is we can also remove that. And now we really just have like the radius, you know, so it's like stuck to height. So that's probably the thickness of both the borders. So if we met that 2 and we'll say mid height, we can do 50, you know. Now looks like we have a gray bar across the top. Okay. And margin, not going to be 50, but it's probably going to be something like 2. Okay, or even 3. So that gives us the white space all the way around it, a little bit of padding. That gives us 56 as the height for the row. Now, looks kind of bland, looks kind of boring, looks super simple. But what we can do is we can immediately take that border and we can make another one, another style. And we might call it border detail content. Okay. That detail content can go over here. Alright. Well, detail content looks kind of bland as well, but that does mean we can easily change the background to maybe white smoke a little bit later. Okay. So now we have a contrast between the top and the middle, and the top section probably is going to need some sort of a button in it, because when we are on a page of content, we need to save it, we need to edit it, we need to delete it, we need to do those sorts of things to the, yeah, we need to do those sorts of things. Now inside of this header border, we can then split it, I believe, into 3 columns. To do that, we put a new grid in. Okay. And I think I might have to go laundry, so I'll be right back. Do I still? Oh, I actually have somebody watching? That's strange, but okay. I didn't think that was possible. Over here, say hello, I guess. Lost my music, but it's okay. We'll go back. We'll get it back. Since somebody's on which one? You gotta see who it's there. just says me. Alright, well, that's fine. I have fun with music again. Now we're back. Alright, got my water. Give me some caffeine here too. And then we can certainly continue. Now, the whole point of the template is every form will be customized, you know, whatever. The template gives us a starting point, and we need a handful of different forms. This page is going to represent the details of a specific record. We're going to put a bunch of information on here, and then it's really easy to take stuff off of here. We can copy it by hand, or do whatever. So, now this top border interesting. Well, it doesn't matter. So, in the top section here, we have 3 columns, and what we'll do is we'll put probably some buttons in this upper corner, maybe some in that corner, maybe there'll be a caption or some stuff in the middle here, and then those two will size appropriately. So again, we'll do now with auto. And again, with auto. And because we're doing a series of buttons, we can do a stack panel. We want the orientation on said stack panel to be horizontal. We're going to put a button in. Okay, button seems to be kind of bland. Yeah, that doesn't really help much. But what we can do is we can then do we'll hit edit a copy. Apply it to the application. Call it button. Edit detail. Or if we remember the other one that we did, it was detail content. So it gives us what control it is as the prefix, where it generally is, and then more, you know, what it's for. So let's go ahead and right click on that. Edit template, edit copy, the style. Yep. So we have button, detail, edit. Okay, we'll make this into a tab. Again, so now we have border, detail content, border, detail header. Then we end up with a bunch of stuff that came through as stuff for the style down here. So we have brushes, and then we have the style. But we want to keep all of this controlled somehow. So we're going to create a new region in here. Call this colors. Problem, region, button colors. Region, button colors. Okay. Now we have all of these. Now, but these just seem to say button. Yes, they are a button, but we want more about what kind of button they are. This is an edit button. Okay, so we're going to send edit button. What we can do is we can just replace these by hand. Okay, pretty easy. And now I do like having a little bit extra space in here. And what you'll also notice that the disabled ones, if we go in alphabetical order, they can go this way, D, then M, P, and S. Okay, we have our edit buttons. Alright, now that allows us to minimize that rather quickly. And then these seem to be like a system style or something. So we'll take that out. I just have that in my clipboard, but I'm going to put that back in, just like so. Okay, and this is just a focus visual key. I'm not quite sure exactly what it's for, but we'll find out in a minute, I'm sure. So we have that. And then we will notice that this one is a button style, so we'll take that one out. Styles. So we're going to look for everything in here that is space but dot that, and then we'll just simply replace it with space edit but dot within here. Selection. So it looks like that's about right. Yep. Okay. And now it's found those colors, those options. So we have focus visual style. Yep. Background, border brush. But again, we don't need this here. We can put it here. Alright, border thickness. And simply go up by the border attributes, which I don't understand why they're never any sort of order. Then we have padding. Okay, then we have more of a template here. Now, the template seems to have a border to the button. Okay, and then it has a content presenter inside of the button as well. Okay, same sort of thing. This one says it's pulling the margin, the template's padding, which kind of makes sense. But we could probably make that more of a constant. Right now, it's saying padding is just 1. So I am pretty sure that we could probably set up some constants and then use the constants in that reference. Which is fine. And then we have some triggers, which I'm just going to leave alone for right now. Okay. Pretty easy. So we have our content presenter, we have our border. But you'll notice it's kind of bland, it's kind of boring. So what we can do then is inside of the, so we do have a folder for utilities, but we can probably set up some constants as well inside of this file. So if we did something like this, we said region, constants, okay, and region, constants, and we can simply do something like this is inside of the resources section inside of a XAML file. So we had Yeah, it probably might be easier just to call constants in a constants file. So we have base classes, but we have templates, utilities. Utilities might work. Let's go ahead and add a class. Say the constants. Okay. And we'll say public static constants. Okay. One of the ones that we're probably going to do then is just going to be called integer corner radius equals 4. Declare instance member in a static class. Radius. So that's the right, but if this was a public static one, which is corner radius, non-constant fields. Should not be static. So static read only. Okay. Save. So if we wanted to make sure everything had the same corner radius, all of the borders and whatever, like this one, we could then do something like corner radius equals binding. Not really binding, but it's we're probably have to reference it somehow. So if we gave it namespace then, right? We can just do constant dot utilities dot okay. We'll call it utilities, I guess. And if in utilities so that corner radius equals binding. So application resources, which I think is what we're in, right? Okay, so we have that one, and we want constants. So then we would say utilities. Error handling's there, but constants isn't like static class. Data class app settings, yeah. So setter property in window resources. But this particular style is in here, so probably something similar, etc. Alright, we have our style. Alright, so go to our value. Yeah, border radius is here. And say something like constant or utilities. Constants. Static. So probably can't compile that part there. Value, yeah, not exist in the name utilities. So wait, yeah, we called it utilities. Sure. So, do we just do, maybe we don't need local, window split, okay. How do we do this? Local, utilities dot utilities dot constants dot border radius. Why did they do it there? Local dot app settings. Um, okay, so border radius equals static resource. Static resource, border radius. Okay, so constants, right? Yeah. So then it would be static resource. Stick using X static border radius equals static resource model utilities dot corner radius. I don't know that that's right. This one here, like class, like static class, constants. Hmm.
Welcome back. This time we are going over create a grid with 2 rows. In the first row, make a stack panel with a text box and a button, and then the second row, make a grid
Alright, well, besides me being super tired, that'll make it much easier actually. Huh, that does make sense. Resource dictionary. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's probably going to be better. We'll add a folder. We'll call it styles. Okay. We'll add um, a new item. And I believe there was one in here called resource dictionary. Yep. We'll call this border styles. Okay. Border styles. Yes. Okay. So new item. Resource dictionary. So we have border styles, then we have button styles. Okay. If we go to our app XAML, pick our button styles. Okay. But button styles doesn't seem to have the colors that we had from before. So most likely that's when we can go into here, button colors. so that gives me smaller files, and we can then get rid of this. Okay, we have merged dictionaries, we got border styles and button styles, and those are two separate style files. That'll be much more manageable, I think. Okay, but we did a build. Okay, so it did bring me to the button styles, which is fine. But I'm betting that corner radius here, we still don't know what that corner radius is going to be. Right, so we're going to say it's 5. Back to build. So that gives us go and find a few people. Two random people, which is fine. So, okay, well, we have the music back on, which is fine. Set it back down if I'm too hard to hear. But there we go. Alright. So, we need a class of static fields, I think, but the class itself isn't supposed to be static. So this is a read-only corner radius, right? Okay, and then inside of the button styles, when we're inside of the, button styles or border styles or something, we want the corner radius to be linked to a constant. So we would then say binding utilities, no, constant, no. Radius. How do I do that? So S constant equals to access constant values of a XAML file in C#. So constants, my application needs constants, you need to include the namespace. Alright, so we have constants, your namespace. Alright, so then when we're trying to use, because we have the utility one, right? My constants dot app title, right? So public const. So public constant doesn't need to be static, it's just a public constant integer corner radius equals 4. Yeah, it doesn't change, I don't think. And then inside of the button style, where we pick that up, then we can say utilities. I think I need to go to X static utilities, constant utilities dot corner radius. Right. 4 is not a value property. Why not? Corner radius. It's a corner radius value. It's actually a style of corner radius. Interesting. Type corner radius cannot be declared constant. So cannot convert type int to 4. That's strange. So if we went with a private integer of corner radius, call it 4, right? And then we would simply call it corner radius to string. It would have to be a string then. So if we did the private string, yes, string equals corner, yes, dot string dot. How do I do a two-string conversion? Okay. Default corner radius, which is this one. So inside of button styles, I do corner radius, default corner radius, is the key, right? And in this case, then static resource default corner radius, just like that. Okay, so then on the detail form, looks like it's much bigger, but we also need some padding around it, I think. And then none of these are needed. As the default corner radius is set up here for that. Right, and then border thickness, right? Border thickness is not. Okay, but how can I set up it that way then? So border thickness. And that way we can adjust, right? But if we went and put button styles over here, right? We went in our detail edit. We have a padding, but it's 2, 3, 4. Okay, we don't have margin though. So if we want a margin, we just simply say margin. Okay, that did that, which is fine. And we could probably set it to like 2, padding of 2. say min width of 100. Alright, and right away we're noticing that that corner radius is completely different. Right, because we have the default corner radius option here, which is set up to 10. So we want that set to 4 so it matches. Okay, we have a bunch of button colors. And we have a static background. Properties. Be able to find a color. It's more on the green-ish spectrum. We're looking to edit it, so we probably want it to be some sort of a green. Okay, and then the static border, we'll start with it at this level, and then we're going to darken it up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so we have that one. And that gives us the background. We will notice for disabled we have a foreground. We probably want a foreground for the static foreground as well. But for right now, that is fine. Detail edit, as you'll see here, suddenly looking at the control text brush key, which could work, I guess. And we'll see. This is putting up a content presenter for the content of this button. And in reality, it's always going to show the same thing. So we don't need a content presenter. I don't think we need a content presenter, but we're going to comment it out just in case. And then we're going to do a stack panel with orientation of horizontal. And, we'll put maybe an image, and then we'll put some a text block, like a label of some sort, right? So the text here would be edit. If we build it, it should play, but it doesn't though. Okay, it doesn't because of this property here. Okay, yep, that's setting that, but then we have a vertical alignment property and a horizontal alignment property. So we'll put that one in. This one, a vertical. That's asking for the template's horizontal content alignment, which is saying center. This is saying center. This is a stack panel. So this is looking for the template for horizontal content alignment. But the content alignment seems to be left instead of centered. I don't fully understand why. Horizontal alignment, center. There we are. Okay. Then we have an image. Those images are going to be assets. So then we would add folder, call that assets. Okay. And then what we can do is we can open this folder in File Explorer. And I can go and get images from a download I have, and I can put them in there too. Okay. We have source, edit. Okay. This one said min width is a certain value, and I'm guessing that somewhere along the lines of detail header, maybe, we set a min height, and okay. Looks a little bit better. Can always change that. We do have an edit button now. Probably want another one, like a save button. So now it says it will say save, and we can do and then we can save all and rebuild it. Yeah, oh right, because this is still not looking at the right style, so we can then do edit save. Yep. Okay. Well, that's easy enough. And those styles are okay. I think we'll get too wrapped up in the minutia of styles. We won't get the templates fully laid out, I don't think. The beauty about the styles is you can set them up once, back, set them up again later. Or just edit them later. Okay. See if we can find anybody else.
Whoa. Poor programmer, welcome, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How about you? I think you're Steve.
object, text display, character dialogue. Hey, thank you very much for the follow on Twitch. Board Programmer, that's a cool name, I like it. Welcome in. Those messages that pop up to keep the bots away, we get a lot of people trying to sell stuff. So welcome in, hope you're having a good Friday. We're learning as we go here. So I do apologise if I do frustrate you. So what kind of programming do you do with your board programming? Necromancer uses Trebuchet as a horse carriage, the skeletons pushing instead. Sounds cool. I may have to employ that idea. I would like to put at least a necromancer in my next game. I don't want to make it a mechanic, but at least have a necromancer. Because it'd be cool to like fight off a necromancer that keeps raising skeletons and sending them after you. Switch ball. No worries, actually working on some C#. Ooh, nice. Sqlite, awesome. XAML and SQL Server, currently working on my project. Lacking focus, so I came over here to see what I can do to get some inspiration. Oh, hopefully you can get some inspiration for me. Like my day job is actually C# SQL Server. I've just started looking into XAML. Like I've only just come across it, so